Hey, folks, welcome back to the Land Fixer podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Logan Swanson. Today, our show is sponsored by compasses. Don't know where you're going? Buy a compass. All right, there you go. Folks, as usual, if you're interested in deal funding, go to landpartnerfunding.com. Check that out. We can fund your next subdivide project, your next flip, whatever it might be. And today, our guest is the one and only Anshul Sharma with Gold Soil Inc. We are very glad to have you on the show. How are you today?
Excellent, Logan. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming in, even though you're under the weather.
Yeah,
So, folks, if his voice is a little weak or shaky, it's a cold we're getting over, I think. Yeah.
that's right.
Well, Anshul, can you tell us a little bit? I know a lot of people in the land space know you, but maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into the business, and where you're at today.
Oh man, you're taking me back in time. How do I got into the business? I was desperate to leave my W-2. Couldn't find anything online except land. Somebody said you can do it with little money and you don't have to drive around for dollars or drive for dollars kind of situation. I said, you know what? Check, check. Count me in. That's how I signed up with Lane. I think I was with Jack Bosch. I learned some amazing things from those guys 7 years back, 8 years back. And yeah, ever since it's been, just kind of riding the wave and learning new things every day,
So, what did you do before?
even in not even worth telling.
Oh, really?
No, it was a W-2 job, man. I was a management consultant,
Uh,
uh, doing okay for myself. Did my MBA, got into management consulting. I was a very tech consultant prior to my MBA engagement, so kind of was down that path. Nothing was really terrible about my life. There is not a sob story here. I just knew I can do more.
yeah, I'm always curious because a lot of people come into the industry and some of them have like a technical background and then they get hyper focused on a lot of the software side of things and the system side of things.
Yeah.
Then other people are like coming from a sales job, so they're like just want to be hands off with everything and outsource all that stuff and not have to deal with the headache of it. So, yeah, I was curious if that had any effect on how you treat your land business.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, over time, I have kind of changed who I think I am. I thought I'm a tech guy until I discovered I'm really not a tech guy. Then I thought that I'm a management guy until I found I'm not really a management guy. I think where I am right now is like a culmination of all things that I've learned in my life. I can look at tech and appreciate it. I can manage teams. Got a little bit of leadership kind of develop over a period of time. Yeah, it's just kind of a combination of my experience and my education background. I mean, you think about like MBA, they kind of really shove all these things down your throat about management, team leadership, and Excel sheet and all that kind of stuff. I brought some of that in my business. Technology was never something that I was scared of. Did a lot of IT consulting. So I was like, yeah, you know what? We have Salesforce now. I can do Salesforce and we just put Salesforce. So it's just kind of a combination of different things, my experience. We were what I implement in my business. I wouldn't say that I'm super techie or super management. Like I don't think I belong extreme to any of those kind of fields.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of, business owners and entrepreneurs succeed by having the ability to multitask, right? So you can't it's
Yeah.
maybe going to be a hard route if you are stuck in one vein or the other as opposed to being able to kind of rise out of it and say I have to
Yeah.
embrace all these different parts of running a business. I can't really hone down and hyper focus on one. Which you see sometimes. I mean, if you talk to a lot of land investors, some of them get hyper ingrained into the systems in their business and there's no deals or very few
Yeah.
deals going on. And they're always kind of waiting for the system to be perfected for them to really start doing deals or whatever. So I agree. I think you have to have a healthy mix of that. Hey, folks, interrupting your podcast today to bring to you our sponsor. I am excited to be working with Pebble REI. If you are already a land investor, you know how this business works. You've probably flipped some lots, made a little bit of money. But here's the real challenge. How do you stay consistent? How do you grow your business and keep it all running smoothly? All right, that's where Pebble comes in. It is built specifically for land investors. Now, I used to take other CRM tools and try to stick them together with duct tape, and it does not work. Pebble was made just for land investors. All right, it's got everything you need. It's got an integrated phone so you can handle all of your seller calls and texts in one place. It's got your marketing tools all built in so you can launch, track your campaigns with ease when you're trying to acquire land. And it's got a full property data system built in so you can keep all your records organized from leads to contracts. And it's got built-in due diligence tools. Okay, so it can instantly pull your neighbor data in, property details, and more. All right, and here's the big deal. In this world of AI, people are going to be introducing AI agents, and you're going to want to do the same thing. But if you have this system where you are using 12 different CRMs and data processors and everything else, it's going to be a huge pain to try to get those things put together. AI agents are coming to Pebble this year, okay? So you can automate key parts of your business and have everything centralized for you. It's time to streamline everything with Pebble, and AI agents will be the norm this year. All right? So, to make everything easier getting started, my listeners are going to get a $50 credit to Pebble. You can use it for things like neighbor letters, pulling data, sending out contracts, really whatever you need. So, I need you to go to pebblerei.com/thelandfixer to grab your free trial and claim your $50 credit. That's Pebble rei.com/thelandfixer, and you are going to love this. Now, back to the podcast. So I agree. I think you have to have a healthy mix of that.
Could be a bad thing, could be a good thing, man. I mean, good thing is if you're like focused, you know that one thing and you can hire people around because you're not good with management, you're good with technology. You better have somebody kind of run business for you. When you kind of know you know everything, well, you kind of know everything, and then you don't feel that you need that person to fill that gap because you never really thought it's a gap. You can fill almost every single gap that exists in your business. It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, depending where you want to take your business. Just looking back, I just feel like I should be great at one thing in my business and let everybody kind of handle the rest because I end up sometimes be too much in operations when I need to be that visionary guy in the business. Just because I can do operations, I think I should not be doing operations at this point in time in my life. But because I can do it, I'll probably end up myself working here and there into some operational work that somebody else could have done it for me. Anyways, could be a great thing, could be a bad thing. That's my point of view on, running the
Yeah.
business.
No, I agree with that. And then, you were kind of talking earlier. You used to think you were this sort of person, and you were used to think you're sort of this
Yeah.
different type of person. So it sounds like you're kind of going through maybe a period of self-analysis or
Oh yeah.
uh,
Hell
tell
yeah.
me tell me how do you do that? Because I think people do this differently. The worst case scenario is you're not doing an honest self-appraisal, and then people who are doing self-appraisals are doing it sometimes in very specific ways or detailed ways. How do you sort of manage looking at yourself and identifying where you need to focus or work on, etc.?
Yeah, I think my strength is that I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. Um, and and I know that um my strength is that I can do a little bit of everything. And that also kind of um is my weakness because I can do a little bit of everything. And now I look back and say, hey, you know what? I could have been a better guy just not doing so much operation that I did over a period of time in my business and would have just brought an integrator or an operations guy and not having to take it that far that we got by running operation, like at least 70% off it. So sorry, I had kind of lost my train of thought on your question, but it just kind of looking into the rearview mirror and say, hey, what could I have done differently? If I were to just kind of go back 3 years, 4 years to get the business where it is today. And no complaints. I enjoy operations, man. That's the problem. Me being the CEO, when you enjoy operations, guess what? The last person you're hiring is for operation because you're freaking enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. But it's all looking back. I enjoy building teams. I enjoy running the company. 15 things in a day doesn't give me headaches. Some people are like, I can do 15 things in a day. Man, you know what? I can't. Okay. But at the same time, then who's looking at the bigger picture? Who's going for the next level in the company if I end up spending time into doing other things? And just to be clear, a lot of things in my company is absolutely delegated. When I talk operations, I talk like the strategy side of operations, not pulling a list. not deleting duplicate leads, not taking phone calls from the seller. That is not operation. I'm talking about the like high level strategy that goes into operation. What could be the KPIs? How do I measure those KPIs? Where am I looking into those KPIs? Where are the leaks in my operation? Like strategy. But if you think you can do it, guess what? I end up doing it until I have to find somebody who can do it for me so I can focus on the big picture. So, I went on a rant on that one, but that's that's where I
Yeah.
am right.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And honestly, I think there's kind of this responsibility because you talked about you've delegated, right? So you have a team. How big is your team right now?
It's in a fleck, but big enough to kind of take us to $10 million in revenue this year. Let's just say that.
Yes. So there's this responsibility. Like, I had a bigger team in the past and I didn't really enjoy running it that much. So we kind of shrunk
Yeah,
our business to where I like it, where I am
yeah,
in operations and it's just, me and my wife and, two or three support people. Um, because I didn't really like that. I didn't really climbing out of operations and being in the seat that you're in, but that is the responsibility that you take on when you start employing people,
yeah.
especially in real estate, because we're in ever shifting sands, right? I mean, the way we run our businesses today could have a dramatic shift over a 12-month period, 6-month period. And it's dependent not only on what the market does, but what does the government do,
Yep.
What does the state government do in the area that you're operating in? Whatever it might be, we're kind of subject to a lot of entities.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, I agree. That's kind of the responsibility once you build a team is to climb into that CEO position
Yep.
and live there.
Yeah. By the way, nobody likes to have a big team. It's a necessity. It's not a choice. I don't think it's a choice. If you want to run a big company, you need people. You need humans, man. Having less people, I mean, you can run it. I don't know how far you can go. You know what I'm saying? Like at
Oh, yeah.
some time, you're gonna be like, I need human bodies around me to do all this work that needs to be done. You'll be like, I don't want less, I want more. It depends on the goal where you want to go. So, I mean, you're gonna end up hiring people at some point in time anyway, sooner or later. Again, depending on how far you want to go, what your goal thing is. And that's a muscle that you just have to build. Sometimes I like, hey, letting everybody go and just be myself somewhere and not having to talk to anybody for a month. Like, but hey, you know what? That's what it takes. You need humans. Now, there is a good way of doing it, and there is a very inoperational and inefficient way of doing it. I get it. But I think if you want to scale, I think we need humans, man.
Yeah,
Depending
and
on the
that Yeah, and that kind of brings me to my next question is you are building this big company, right? So what
yeah,
is or big? I mean, we're all really running kind of tiny companies
I
in the
know
grand scheme of things,
exactly.
but I mean, much bigger than the average land investor. So what is that drive? I've kind of asked myself this over the years, what is pushing me to go from maybe just running a small successful land business to like me trying to scale it up? What was driving that? Is it all ego?
Hmm.
What pushes you to try to continue to grow your business year over year?
Maybe it's ego, man. I don't know. Maybe it's ego at this point. Maybe it's like I want to discover a part of me that I can only discover with certain level of responsibility. When you have people on payroll, there is a certain level of responsibility that kind of dawns on you. And if you're not absolutely tuned in with yourself, you cannot run a machine of that size, right? Which says, hey, how disciplined you are in your business. You cannot be indisciplined because you have to meet the payroll at the end of the end. That kind of gives you a level of responsibility, discipline that comes with it. You get more focus on your cash flow and you run business like a business. I always say everybody's an entrepreneur, until you have a payroll. Because when
Yeah.
you have a payroll, every month you have money leaving the bank, everything tightens up. You will start looking at your number very differently than what you look right now, right? Because you have a certain expense to meet, you have certain sales to make every month, every 2 weeks, and the whole mind shift, how disciplined you're in your business comes when you scale, when your expenses go up, but that also reflects on your top line revenue. But that comes with discipline. So one of the biggest things that I'm trying to say, hey, you know what? How disciplined I am with my business, because a lot of you cannot be indisciplined and run a business. You will go at some point in time with no money. You're gonna have negative cash flow, right? And that kind of stuff. So that's the other side of me, which I'm really trying to discover about me, my leadership, how far we can go. Now we have people, there's a sense of responsibility, but there's also a sense of winning. When they win, I feel like I won. When somebody comes on my team and they close their first deal and they get their $2,000 check and they feel winning, then I feel like I'm winning because they never seen a $2,000 check before from just one deal. I'm like, man, that's nice, right? So it's just kind of a mixed thing when you scale the business, but it's hard. Scaling the business is not easy.
Yeah, I kind of like the way that you phrase it actually. So I don't personally believe that ambition or the desire to close or to run a big business is pure ego in a negative sense.
Yeah,
I think like a lot of the human experience is self-mastery.
yeah,
And, the ways in which you're able to master self year over year, if you're doing a good job, keeps providing a bigger and bigger opportunity. It's like you're moving up a funnel, sort of. It's like,
yeah,
all right, my time management has gotten to be really
yeah.
quality. Well, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, I'm able to do more things, or my ability to focus has become exponentially more powerful. So I'm able to dig deeper into projects. So, I think at the time when I was scaling, my self mastery wasn't able to meet that challenge of the business.
Yeah,
So we drew it back to where I was able to operate, which was, I had a flexible team. So if our,
yeah,
business ramped up in a certain period of the year or a certain number of deals that came in, well, we were able to flex up to that. And then if it was
yeah,
slow, we were able to flex down. And that worked for us for a time period.
yeah,
But what I've seen from you and just sort of following your social media over the past, I don't know, few years, however long it's been, I'm pretty sure I've seen you, did you go to the Philippines a few times and like meet your team out
yeah.
there and stuff like that? I mean, it's not like you're just hoarding money, right? You're out there supporting the people that you're employing every step of the way. You're educating and trying to, elevate their potential through your
Yeah.
systems and business. So I think there's just a lot of good that comes from being the sort of person in your situation.
Yeah, I mean it's also a lifetime experience, right? I can say, hey man, I've been in Philippines. I taught like 15 people in a room on a whiteboard how to do comps, right? It was fun. Like literally
Yeah.
people sitting like a student, hey, do you have any questions? Yeah, I got a question, right? Like that kind of fun, right? Being in Egypt, literally teaching people how to close deals on the phone, right? You got like 5, 10 people around you while you're talking to the seller and you put that deal in the contract. Right? It just like these are unique experiences in my life that I would have not experienced had I had not scaled the business, right? And now it's like, how much value do you give to these experiences in your life? Somebody like, that's a pain, man. I don't see this as an experience. But I was like, hey, you know what? If I were to tell my kids, hey, man, I've been in Egypt and I've been coaching people like how to close deals, and that was a kind of fun experience. So it really depends how what you want to get out of your experiences running a business. We all will end up making some kind of money that will serve our family and food on the table. I think I'm kind of more trying to collect experiences and see in different ways I can challenge myself. Of course, at the same time, be able to scale the business. So it kind of all have to make sense. But yeah, that was the kind of it was more like excitement, man. Let's go Philippines. Let's teach a bunch of people how to do comps. Let's go.
Yeah, my wife's my business partner, and we're always talking about this. We're like the biggest benefit, our two biggest benefits of whatever the land investing space or business that we're in is one, freedom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my brother's family just came into town this week, and we don't have to call our boss and try to request time off so that we can spend,
Yeah.
none of that stuff. So we have freedom, one. But then
Hmm.
two is experiences, and that's effectively the people that we're able to meet. And that's something over and over again in our industry I've seen is like people are wide open. They want to work with you. They want to. The number of people who are like, "Hey, next time you're in Georgia, come stay at my house," or next time you're in this, my Jason Wolbrink, he's a good friend of mine. When we went to Peru, we stayed at his house, while we were there and got to hang out with him. So it's kind of endless the opportunities for adventure
Yeah.
that come from such a odd
Yeah.
little niche industry.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so maybe it's a little bit of ego, a little bit of exploration, a little bit of experience, a little bit of, hey, can I be disciplined enough to even run a company? I have been a very indisciplined guy for a great portion of my life. Like discipline and I just do not belong to the same books, to the same text. And running the business has taught me things that I would have never learned otherwise. in my life, and I take that as a huge benefit, improving me as a human, like taking care of my health. Hey, I gotta wake up every day, man. I got a team to run. I cannot be like, hey, on the beach a month and see you later. No, I gotta show up every day. For that, hey, I gotta be in good shape, not the shape that I am in today. But hey, you know what? Other days are better than, but today. So it has personally kind of improved me as a human as well, how I look at my life, being disciplined and just kind of, um, yeah, that kind of stuff.
So, what is there a specific approach you take to self discipline or self mastery incrementally? What is it? What do you do?
I show up every day, man. That's the number one discipline I learned in life. You gotta show up every day. Christmas, January 1st, February 29th. You gotta show up every day. As if it's a new day, it's a new opportunity. Don't get complacent. That's the biggest thing I've learned. Don't get complacent. Just show up every day and then just kind of take one day at a time. Just do your best, go home. If you gotta work out, go work out. Do not skip. That kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Nothing fancy.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about where your company's at now. I know the things that always stood out to me. Well, you have an awesome active Facebook group. I forget the name of it right now. What's the Facebook group?
Land arbitrage.
That's right, land arbitrage. And in there, you're always posting like really powerful statistics directly from your business, right? Like
Yeah.
here's the results of an acquisition campaign broken down into the number of leads and why they're willing to sell for us or whatever. That
Yeah.
level of transparency is always kind of mind blowing because I don't know, most of the people that have influence in our space are
Mm,
trying to sell a product or a program or something like that. And I
yeah.
think that's where the majority of their success comes from. So when
Interesting.
people can actually see that you're doing deals and you're doing a lot
Yeah.
of deals and you're tracking the metrics, it provides a lot of credibility to the things that you say, which is why I listen. I don't listen to most people,
Mm,
you know?
mm.
So what was it like setting up a system like that? Were you able to like snap your fingers overnight or did it take kind of years?
I wish. I wish. We have Salesforce, and it took me time, money, resources, mental capacity to put that thing together. But the idea was always that we want to scale. We want to have a really great wholesale company. That thought, that idea, that vision hasn't faded over the years. Matter of fact, it has gone bigger and better, more clarified. And so, long story short, end up having Salesforce. And if anyone has ever used Salesforce, installed Salesforce, or implemented Salesforce, it takes time and a lot of money. I did not realize that until I was like 3 or 6 months into that whole gig, and now we have Salesforce. So, so that's the kind of systems we have. We have processes. I have a person who does technology for me all day long. All she does is IT, making reports, changing features, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting how we kind of came to the point where we are as a company.
That's cool. And now you're crushing it, right? I mean, what's your average deal flow or month? What's the metric that you like to lean on or look at in your business to say I'm successful this week or this month or not?
Look, when you scaling, it's kind of a different thing versus you trying to run a company at at a certain level, right? If I'm a $1 million company and all I do is 1 million every year, you have your everything dialed in. But when you are 1 million and you want to go five, you will screw it up along the way because now you will have to have better process, systems, people, leads, budget, marketing, sales, everything needs to dial in because now you're going like somewhere else and you will gonna screw it along the way because you will lose balance at some point in time. And that's exactly where we are. Every year we have pushed the limit where we were and where we want to go. And what we think it will take us from A to B is almost never the case.
Hmm.
We underestimated how many people we need, or we overestimated how many people we need. We underestimated how much market research would it take, or we overestimated, how much we know about this business and still learning. So, so what was your question again?
Just like, you're a guy who has all of his metrics down. Are there
Yeah.
specific metrics that you're looking at regularly to gauge your success?
Yeah, deal spread. How much we got deal spread this week? How much contracts we got this week? How much in deal spread? We know if we do not bring a certain number of certain dollars in deal spread, putting under contract with the seller, we having a very, very horrible month coming next month because we need to meet payroll. So what if we don't put under contract something now, 2 months from now, we're not gonna have enough money to pay, or we will be negative cash flow. right? So the most kind of leading metrics or lagging metrics that we see on the acquisition side, how much did we bring in deal spread this week?
That's great. Yeah. Because I mean that ultimately then it's just how many deals can we do with that rate of deal spread. Then you
Correct.
can be successful, right?
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
well, that's awesome. So tell me, I know you have a new software coming out, right? Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
that yet, or is it too early?
No, it's good. We couple of people signed up. So what we're really trying to do, we're trying to have AI listen into a couple of things. One, listen into the call with the seller and really identify what's going on the call. Give it a score, right? Hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated was seller? What was the key points that were discussed in the call? The number two thing is agent diagnostic. All our agents get on the phone. We run their call through our AI system to see how did they score on the call. Could they have done anything better in terms of finding the motivation level, question they did not ask, they're supposed to ask, how was the interaction level, and all that kind of stuff. So we are using that because that kind of just brings more clarity in the acquisitions business, and that's the AI that we have developed. It's very custom to the point that I have used my experience into kind of having AI read that one, the motivation. Number two, how you really figure out whether agent was top notch on the call or they missed different things and they could have done better. So that's what we are working right now. I think people tend to lose deals because they really didn't know what the seller said on the phone and what was their motivation or those small little details. And I have lost plenty of deals in my business
Hmm.
not getting to those leads on time, and I don't want to do it anymore. So everything I kind of doing is for the necessity of my business. If it can help any of the land investment companies or investors, that would be great.
Yeah, honestly, that would be excellent just for quality control, right? On your
Yeah,
side of things, 'cause that's one of the things that's always really held me back from outsourcing cold calling to, another team or
yeah,
whatever, or even like hiring someone that's out of country. Is okay if I hand someone a list of, a skip trace list and
you
this is
don't know
all the
what's going
money.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is all the money right here. Like you're really handing them the bag because all your
exactly.
leads, those are the only things that turn into deals. And you're like, all right, go give them a call, and there's a few you can vet and you can demonstrate, but ultimately it's going to be them on the phones for six
Yes,
hours. And how are they going to handle when their blood sugar spikes after lunch?
yes,
Or when they're 2 hours in, or whatever it is. I mean, you're going to see all these ebbs and flows and quality, and
yes,
it just that's terrifying to hand somebody that list.
yes. And so that way you can control what they're saying. You can improve them. You can tell them, hey, every time you go through this, there's a 14-step process. So we rate agents call on 14 steps. And you know that that agent is not performing on some of those steps over and over again. So you can be, hey, look, you're great, but at this point, you really do not do well. Or you always tend to skip this question that you should be asking when you're on the phone call. Right. And so that's a quick behavior change that you can work with your guy and say, hey, you know what, next time when you go on the phone, I want you to pay attention to these couple of things and, that kind of conversation. So that you don't have to have a quality person. You don't have to listen to those calls. Let the AI do it. Let them score on a scale of 1 to 10 where they are on their calls. Eight is acceptable. Anything below eight is probably they need a little bit of training and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and for our industry and kind of where we're at, I think cold calling is the best approach right now for getting sellers, right? I mean, well, not a lot
Yeah.
of people are really running text messaging programs anymore because of legalities around that. I know some people are, but a lot of people have closed up shop on that. The mail rates are kind of through the floor.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the best approach right now. So if you can optimize for cold calling, your deal flow is probably going to be as secure as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I kind of have mixed, uh, feedback on between cold calling and mailers. For some people, mailers still work,
Hmm.
great. We haven't done mailers. It's been a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I've been running my company between RVMs and texting and cold calling, a kind of combination. But I think we might just go do a little bit of mailers here. I don't know.
It
I
doesn't
think,
hurt, really. Like what I've heard most successful right now is sort of multi-touch campaigns. So
yeah,
you'll send a mailer and then you'll call, or and then you're going to send maybe a postcard later that's more affordable.
right.
Something that's like 3 or 4 touches. And I think that's where a lot of people are really scraping things out right now. But that's a lot of systemization if you're going to get that done. Um,
Ooh.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of system processes. There's a lot there, man. There's
Yeah.
a lot. That's the biggest kind of challenge in the company right now. When you scale, you gotta be scraping and looking at markets all day long
Hmm.
because you tend to run out of leads.
Yeah. You're right.
It's
Or
only
you're,
so many leads you can go after. I'm like, ah, man, do I need to look at different state, different county, different people, different like, what am I doing here?
yeah.
So.
And actually, that was kind of leading into one of my next questions is, for your business, as it grows, does that mean your map is constantly getting bigger, or are you just finding new area, like specific areas that you're settling into and really targeting specific niches, or, what does that look like for you today?
Now I mean, the volume that we want to do, it's not possible to be in a certain zip code or in a certain city. We gotta branch out. So, we started with Texas, but we're kind of going different places right now. And also in Texas, man, I mean, Texas is a different market now. You used to be 7 years
Yep.
back. It's
Hmm.
completely changed, and you cannot be one state dependent, especially if you want to scale. Now, if you
Yep.
want to do $1 million business, right? $1 million in top sales, $2 million in top sales, you can stay in a state and kind of bring that money from wholesale. But if you want to go beyond that, you got to branch. You got to branch other places. Now, but there's a certain type of product that we target. We're not targeting infill lots. We're not targeting desert squares or, extreme recreational properties. We are like 60, 90, 120 minutes out of a big metro. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Unrestricted property, that's what we focus on. But that's all we focus on.
Yeah. So, a couple more questions. One, I always like to ask my guests that are in the know, what's the state of the market right now in 2025? We're just wrapping up March, so we're almost done with first quarter. So what would you say is it like operating a business right now? And really, there's a lot of folks that listen to this that are deciding whether or not they should enter the space, So if you
Yeah,
were
man.
to launch a business, what would you do in 2025?
Yeah. I would lean more into data than ever before. Do research. Shout out to Land Insight guys. Amazing tool. I would lean completely more into data and not be quick to jump into that one city, one county. Just because you live in that county doesn't mean that that's the county or state that you have to start. If numbers doesn't dial in, skip, skip, because there are areas in this country that are doing well even in today, and there are areas which you think are doing well, but not from a wholesale perspective. We need to kind of, hey, man, everybody like that. Texas, hey, Texas is great if you want to do a full horizontal and vertical development here. Okay, best state to be in. But we are in a wholesale business. We're not in a we're not building condos here. We're trying to flip stuff, right?
Hmm.
And so it becomes very important that do not get carried away what everybody thinks that the state or is doing. You have to be dialed into number. And I have been in this trap more time than I would like to admit. And so, being starting from Texas and doing Texas for the last 7 years, it was very hard for me to kind of branch out and look at states and counties that I never heard and I never seen, right?
Hmm.
Once we look at the data, data doesn't lie, and that's what we have to lean into. So if you are starting business today, you have no experience, the one thing that is on your side is data. Look at the data. If it makes sense, go for it. If it doesn't make sense, do not be hesitant to go to the next county or the next state. There are 50 states in this country, and I don't know how many counties we have. There is no dearth of land. You just have to be dialed in with your market research and data, and that would be a great start. Even with a small budget, you can make it happen because you're at the right place with the opportunity before 5,000 land investor come in and kind of change the game, which is not bad. Look, competition is good, but you don't want to be the tail end of the competition going into a state. And I think that's where we are in Texas. We need to press a reset button in Texas, some shape or form, before wholesaling can become cool again.
Yeah. And what are some of so you said, all right, lean on data. So if you're picking a market, what are the top three things that you're looking for in terms of data to make that market selection?
I mean, it's the same thing. Everybody looks, but not everybody look for it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same thing. Hey, STR rate. Hey, what's the days on market? I don't want to be in a county where stuff is selling 200 days. I want to be in a county where stuff is selling 90 days. Okay, especially the kind of parcel that I want to sell. So
Hmm.
don't look at a half an acre parcel that sells for in 15 days and compare that to a 100-acre parcel that's sitting on the market in the same county for 200 days, right? Got to be dialed into your data. What's the sell-through rate? The kind of coin kind of being tossed around all the time. So those are the couple of things. Other things that I look, hey, what the county is doing. How many Walmarts are there? That's just
Hmm.
my thing to gauge. Hey, three Walmarts, five Walmarts, seven Walmarts, no Walmart. I don't want to be in a county where there are no Walmarts, and we have plenty of counties in this country. There are no Walmart, there are no Starbucks, there is no CVS, there is no Walgreens. I don't want to be in those places. Now they could be recreational play for somebody, but that's not my jam, right? So I want to stay out of it. So I have some our internal kind of stuff that we look into, and some is very foundational. Days on market, STR, and that kind of stuff. You should not skip that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, do not skip that stuff. That's when you get into trouble when you skip those stuff and you want to get into the land business. So I will dial into data, I will study data if you're entering the land business, and then think about marketing and sales and everything else.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been preaching for a long time is folks that are maybe recently coming out of some sort of education program or something like this. Oftentimes they're being taught to just go pick a county, and you
No,
can't really do it wrong. And I'm like, no, you can
no,
absolutely do it wrong.
you can do it.
Um, and you
Yes.
can do it very wrong, especially if you're using mail or something like that that's very expensive. I
Yeah.
mean, you can go mail an entire county and not get a single deal out of it if you didn't do market research. So you kind of need to do the opposite. Like, you should be spending probably, if you're new, 10,
Yeah.
20 hours just researching a county or an area to really understand who lives there. Are there buyers there? What sort of
Yeah.
properties go for there? What are the recreational activities there? What's the politics like there? Is it growing? Is it shrinking?
Right.
You have to really know all this stuff if you want to make
Right.
money in our industry because it's all about churn because you have to do it
Yes.
quickly. You can't do it
Or
over very slow periods well, in my opinion.
yes, I agree with you. Or just pick the phone yourself and cold call.
Hmm.
And then you don't have to bitch about the market, about my budget, being an amateur. None of that matters at that point. At that
Hmm.
point, all matters is you picking the phone and calling a bunch of people and see if you can put something under contract. More power to you, right? You can run like how much, call the county, pull a list, takes nothing, it's almost free. Okay. You need a dialer, comes with $50 a month. Shove that thing into that dialer and start calling, man. That's it. You can literally start the business in probably $500 or less. Are you willing to make some of those phone calls and then follow up and put the property in the contract? This is how you start a land business today if you know nothing. You do not have money and you cannot afford to buy anybody's coaching or program, right? This is how you start. Pick a dialer, call a county, which you think is the best county in the world, right? And then take the data, put it into that thing, and start making some phone calls. It's not hard. All it takes, hey, Mr. John, I saw this 10 acres and blah, 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 blah. Thought of giving you a phone call, see if there is any kind of remote interest. You might be willing to sell it today or maybe a year from now. Boom. That's all it takes. Start the conversation. So if I were to do all over again, got no money, this is exactly what I would do.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's exactly so. I don't really do like coaching or anything like that, but I have one guy who really said he wanted to learn the industry, and I brought him in. He does not
Yeah.
have money to start with. That's exactly what I did. I was like, all right, pick an area, let's get a list put together for you, skip trace that list, and cold call.
Cold
And
call.
he didn't even get a dialer. He's just on his phone. He manages a tire shop. So when he has downtime, he just starts dialing, and we have his first
Amen.
deal sitting at the title company right now. He's going to make more on that deal than he's ever made in a month.
Amen. More power to that guy, man.
Yeah,
If you're
it's
listening to this
badass.
thing and you're trying to get into this business, if you just do what Logan said, you will be way better off because you will build that muscle. You will have respect for not having money and still able to make the business work. The problem is when people have money, that's the when they screw up the business the most. The people who have no money, they're not gonna screw the business. They're starting from the bottom, man. They're
Hmm.
starting when they only had $100 to their name, and they, you know what, I'm gonna make it work. And those are the people who actually make business work because they started from a point. They really treat money very differently in their business versus I got $20,000 in marketing. Guess what? You're gonna screw it, man, big time. Or maybe not. I don't know. But
No, I definitely. I mean, I see that a lot. Like I don't know. Over the years, I've talked to a lot of people who have gone through coaching programs and spent 10, 20, 30,
Yeah.
$50,000, and they come out the other end and it's as if they had learned nothing. And I'd be
Mm,
having basic calls with them.
yeah.
And they've hired teams to do everything in their business from acquisition to, and they're just not doing deals. And I'm like, have you
Yeah.
ever done a cold call? Have you ever cold called for an hour straight and had conversations with people? If you haven't, then you can't coach people
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
do it, you know? And if you can't coach people how to do it, then you're never going to have any land to buy. Then your
Yes.
business is over.
Exactly. Man, this is entrepreneurship 101. This
Yeah.
is how this is what entrepreneurship is built on. The best companies probably not have all the funding in the world, but they know how to figure it out and then call for funding. Versus, you hear the story. The companies who are able to bring all the funding up front, they're not able to actually even be successful. Versus those who did not have funding and they kind of tend to do better than the ones that do have funding on day one. So yeah, there is something to it about how you want to start a business. But
Yeah.
that's a
And I
good
think,
conversation. I like that conversation.
yeah. And I really like when, I think we're in a challenging market. And I think what
Yeah.
challenging markets do is they bring you back to fundamentals, things that were like the lazy approaches that worked 5 years ago or 4 years ago or 3 years ago that aren't working now are just forcing you
Yeah.
to go back to basics in your
Yeah.
business and identify what are the strategies that actually convert deals on a regular basis in a more difficult market.
And you talking to me right now with that thing. I mean, I've been in business for 5 years. We done about 80 to 100 deals every year. But market have changed in the last 12 to 18 months. And we are more dialed into data and marketing automation than we have ever been,
Hmm.
because that's the name of the game right now. How many touches can I have? Can I have 15 touches with my seller? Because you have to have multiple touches before you get any kind of deal in the contract, at least which is like, a decent looking deal. So data and marketing automation is two things that I'm heavily kind of spending probably majority of my time right now in the business where I am. Now, if you're starting out, don't worry about automation,
Hmm.
right? Worry about data. But hey, if you're making those cold calls, I wouldn't worry about the data or location as well. It's just you. Who
Hmm.
cares?
Yep.
If it doesn't work, go somewhere else until you figure out what works, and then we just kind of take things from there.
Beautiful. Well, Anshul, we're getting close to the end here. Is there anything specific that you wanted to talk about? I know we got your Facebook group kind of plugged here. What's the name of that AI software? Do you want people to
Um,
get into that right now?
yes, yeah. Landseller.ai.
Okay.
Landseller.ai. Yeah, sign up, guys. It's great. At least it's working in our business. Everything I do is just kind of a thing what we are doing in our business, and somebody else might benefit from it. It's free beta. It's kind of beta testing right now. We are beta testing, a matter of fact, inside our organization. It's working great, but we're trying to kind of fine tune it with all the calls coming in, how we can have better understanding what people are talking, motivation level, how my agents are doing, kind of a combination of everything.
Awesome. Well, Anshul, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know you're a very busy man. You got to get back to whatever, flying out to Egypt. Not sure what you got going
Yeah.
on today, but I'm
Hey,
sure it's
I'm going
very
Arizona.
important.
I'm going Arizona. So yeah. So another mastermind, but yeah. Hey man, thanks for having me, Logan. I need to see you in person, buddy. You
Yeah, I'm
have
in Dallas, so we're close.
okay. Yeah, I'm in Austin, so yeah, it's not that far. So yeah, probably we need to kind of catch up in person and talk.
Yeah, I need to do the whole circuit down there. I need to meet you. I saw Alan, Rooster Vance, whatever, a
Yeah.
week ago in Houston.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, meet you, Kendall. I mean, there's a few of you guys down there that I need to really get to know.
I mean, yeah, come on now. Let's do it.
Awesome. Again, thank you, Anshul, and we'll see y'all next time, folks.
All right,
Cheers.
thanks, man. Later.